Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wrestling fans. This is a Wrestling Fans Insight Sunday Takedown. I'm your host, John Hoppe, alongside with my brother. How are you, William?
I am here.
All right. We also have Carlos in the house. How are you, my brother?
I am here too.
Good God, you two. Uh, we also have Stampede. Stampede, are you here too?
Stampede is not here. No.
Okay. So, which
Yeah.
face of Stampede do we have today?
Stampede is here, peering down from the Great White North.
Yeah, we kind of had a late arrival because we weren't expecting them, but we also have Bryan the High Ballard.
Damn.
Hey, Bryan, how are you?
I am here and unconscious, but here.
See, when the Browns play on Thursday, we get Bryan. That's not good.
Oh,
What happens, right?
Well, I was just talking before you came in. I'm like, God, your team can't even tank correctly. What the hell?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I did a little meme of it of the Jurassic Park guy with the Browns helmet. Nobody cares.
and I apologize for stopping my camera because I'm having some issues with my eyes today. So
Yay, that's a win for everybody.
no, fuck you. Anyways, we need to send you in the classification of the group we were talking about before we went on air. How about that? Oh,
The cool
Hey,
kids. Okay.
well, it depends. What does Stampede think of them? Anyways, welcome to the show, everyone. We're yesterday. If you joined us, thank you. Appreciate it. Carlos and I gave our predictions as well as our teammates' predictions over last night's AEW Full Gear pay-per-view that took place last night. And I have to say, that was a pretty fun pay-per-view event to watch from start to finish. And I thought AEW, as I mentioned yesterday, I think they really do a great job delivering their pay-per-views compared to their TV product. But in all reality, that's how it really should be anyways, because you definitely want to make sure your customers feel the value of buying the big events. So, Carlos, since you were with me yesterday, let's get your thoughts from the pay-per-view overall.
The one thing I would say about this, and again, I'm probably going to get bombarded by the group for this, but I don't care. It's like, I think the one thing where I think, again, it was a good show, but for me, I feel like there was too many heels winning. I think having and again, I get it if it's storyline driven, but having 3 heels win in a row, like I felt the crowd was deflated. Like, again, like it's good storytelling, but at the same time, it's like, you could just tell like the crowd was like, oh my, it deflated the crowd, in my opinion. And so for me, and that's kind of why I even had a hard time picking the winners. I'm like, there's so many heels that should be winning, but it's like, it just doesn't seem like you want to do that. And with that said, I think going into the future, they're pretty much doing 12 pay-per-views a year. Just do a little bit better job of making sure the crowd goes happy. And again, the card was great. Like the one thing I would like to counter what you just said too, is if I'm Tony Khan, I would really use this as a reboot and show these guys, if there's anyone here who still doesn't want to like put over people, if you think you're better than that, look at the fact that you had like Ospreay, Swerve, Hangman, all these guys like Ricochet, putting people over cleanly and doing what was right for the company. I was happy from that perspective as a fan. Like, man, this is like, damn, like this is what the wrestling business should be. So overall, it was a good show just for me. And again, like if you had people tune in for the first time because you got that Rizzler rub, it was just kind of like, okay, wow, a lot of bad guys won here at the end. I think maybe even just they would have put the tag team match towards the end too, just to again give the crowd some hope. But at the same time, like it was entertaining. I was again really good matches. I love the show, but for me it was like, okay, like where's the hope?
All right, Bryan, let's get your. Did you watch the event last night?
I was going to say, I'm the kid that showed up to class without doing the homework, and the test is now. So I'm kind of playing the fan role here at this point, and I'm like, cool, tuning in to Wrestling Fans Insight and what happened. So,
oh, okay, well, maybe we'll get your thoughts as we do our breakdown of each match here. But why don't we go to Stampede to get his thoughts from the event last night?
Very enjoyable show. Good flow to it. As per usual, about 69% of the show took place in the ring. It's a lot of action, which in turn makes the show flow well, right? Like there's no downtime with these. You're tuning in to watch a wrestling show. That's exactly what you get. Just speaking of what Carlos said there about, sending people home feeling good, and nothing wrong with faces winning. Has to make sense within the context of the stories being told. So, but I enjoyed it. Even the 0 hour, the matches on there were enjoyable. All a little different too. Good stuff.
And Will, did you have a chance to watch it? I know you had some stuff going on yesterday.
It's okay to say it. I'm going through some financial and some health crap, but I scraped up enough money to be able to watch. As far as the event goes, I was pretty satisfied with it, other than a champion retention that didn't need to take place because she's not doing anything for that title, and that's Monet. But overall, the entire show was entertaining.
All right. Well, we'll give you a chance to elaborate a little more on your favorite wrestler there when we get to the match. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right through the results. And if you're tuning in and haven't watched the event, but you intend to watch it, sorry, you're going to get the spoilers, whether you like it or not. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the 0 hour matches. In the opening match, Anna Jay ends up defeating Deonna Purrazzo. Let's get Stampede's thoughts on this one.
Both women looked very crisp in this match. I thought had a good flow back and forth. It was smartly thought out. Nice use of Valkyrie on the outside, I thought. Anna Jay, I mean, it depends on how you look at her, right? Some people are saying, "Oh, she's improved by leaps and bounds, and she's like 100 times better." She's not, right? But she is a lot better than what she was, especially after her Stardom win. They're booking her smart, like that roll up that she did to get that pin. That really highlighted her, like her ring and positioning awareness, like to be able to do that, especially on a competitor of Deanna's stature, like in the wrestling world. So I thought it was done really well. Anna Jay picking up the win, smart move because she needed one. Right, she's getting in high profile matches. She's getting shown a lot. She's in there with some top tier competitors right now, but she does need to start popping off some wins. So she needed it here, and she got it. So good stuff. I gave it a 6.75 and on the Stampede scale.
All right, Carlos, you're up.
It was a serviceable match, hearing the backstage stuff that that Deonna really had to fight to get on the card in her hometown area. For me, like I've already said it, I think the card, again, looking at the card too, and like what I talked about previously, I would have liked to seen one more women's match on the main card. But I mean, it was serviceable, and I agree. I think Deonna Purrazzo, I have a lot of respect for her because I feel like she's almost like a female Bryan Cage in the fact that she's there to do her job, and she'll put over people, and she's happy just to be a part of the team. And again, I think I champion people like that because she deserves to be being booked better than she is, but she's still there just doing her job, and I respect that. But I'm happy to see Anna Jay get the win. She needed it.
William?
So this was the one match that I was kind of worried about right off the bat because it started really mundane and slow. But it managed to pick up. It did flow really well. They did well working with each other. And it ended up being a really good match.
Bryan, did you want to give any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'll give kind of a result thought. Anna Jay, I feel, would be the right choice here. Deonna, I don't think a loss like that hurts her at all. And Anna Jay, I feel like, I've liked her work. I liked her improvement. I feel like they want to reward that. And they're going to continue this push with her. So I see that result, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and she's got a momentum going, even though she was not able to capture the AEW Women's Championship from Mariah May. I think this shows that they're gonna they're starting to have a lot more confidence in her, and I think good things are going to come her way here very shortly. But yeah, definitely. I don't think what I heard her taking a loss, but definitely her getting the win. It definitely shows that they're starting to get more and more behind her. So, for the second match, it was a 4-way match. Buddy Matthews defeating Dante Martin, the Beast Mortos, and Commander. And why don't we start off with you, Carlos?
This was a fun match. I'm the right person won. Again, for me, like I like all these guys a lot. I think they all have something to offer. Like I just like seeing, like, for example, like I feel like Commander got his moves off quicker. Like I think that's the kind of stuff I love seeing on a pay-per-view. Like when you're given the spotlight, like you turn it up and you show out because you're appreciative of that. I was really glad to see Buddy Matthews get the win. Again, I look forward to seeing hopefully what they're gonna do with them in the future. But again, too, you have Beast Mortos there that I want to see getting more wins as well. But overall, entertaining match. It's gonna get the crowd. It did its job. Get the crowd up, get the energy going.
Stampede.
Very enjoyable match, I thought. Mortos and Buddy, like they were laser focused on each other to start this, so it really gave the dynamic of the two power guys and then the two speed guys, right? As far as here's how this match is going to kind of play out. Mortos was the star of this, right? Like that tornado tope suicida, that was impressive. Like Carlos mentioned, Commander, like his agility on the ropes is some of the best I've ever seen. The way he's able to maneuver those, especially when he walks them and does the jump off. Mortos was throwing a lot of stiff shots in that too. Really creative offense. Buddy too, like an impressive lawn dart that he did from Commander when he threw him into Dante in the corner. That was impressive. But I said that the star of the match was Mortos, but Buddy picks up the win, so that continues his momentum, hopefully going into the C1 and hopefully going into Grand Slam. So well done all around. It was very, very enjoyable. Everybody got a chance to shine in this. Everybody looked good. 7.5 out of 10 for me.
William.
Absolutely loved this match. This I could have seen being on the main card had there been something like a championship to go for. But no, I'm absolutely thrilled with what's going on with Buddy Matthews, and even more appreciative to the crowd for showing their love.
And I was almost teased that my pick was going to win, and unfortunately, it did not happen. Damn it, Dante. No, all four men. Again, kudos to all four of these guys putting on an excellent performance, especially in the free show. That to me definitely would have been worth having on the main show, paying money for. But it got the crowd into it, and for the most part, hopefully, if they ever do this again, something will be a little bit more in line or on the line for these types of matches. Bryan, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I did. I always feel with these kind of matches, Commander and Beast Mortos they're like the ketchup and mustard, right? You have a really good burger, but I feel like AEW sometimes just says, I'll throw some ketchup and mustard on there. Let's make it really good, and they add these guys into matches. I personally would like to see in the future a cruiserweight type title or a lower weight division title or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't want to see 205 live, but you guys know what I mean. And then I want to ask you guys, was this a nod a little bit at Buddy Matthews just to say, hey, no matter what the future goes, we're still behind you. We still want to support you, and kind of giving him a little faith? You guys feel like that was that? Because we know House of Black and that whole thing could be a little weird if Aleister Black decides to leave.
I think it ties into what Stampede said. Like, I think what he just said is true. I think we're probably going to see Buddy Matthews in the C2, because that's Tony Khan booking. I'm going to give you the spotlight now, so it justifies why did you hear. I definitely think that's the reason for that. 100%.
Did you want to add anything to that, Stampede?
No, I agree. I agree on Buddy. Like, this is showing confidence in him. It's like we know what you can do. We know the talent that you have, and there's some things on the horizon that you will fit into like a glove, right? So C1 being one of them, Grand Slam being the other. I wouldn't even be like if they popped him in a match over on the Wrestle Dynasty, I would be fine with that too. I don't know who he faced, but if they chose to do that, it'd be right up his alley.
Did you want to add anything to that, Will? Or
I do not.
okay, all right. Well, while we go to what I thought was the match of the 0 hour, Big Boom AJ gets the victory over QT Marshall. Why are you laughing?
We bring in the doom.
I had no idea who the fuck the Rizzler was, and then I was just freaked out.
No, okay. Well, let's go ahead and start with Carlos on this.
I stand by my comments yesterday. I love this match. I know Stampede gave it a low rating, but for me, it was just different. For me, the thing that I liked, and again, I think I would love to see this on the main card again. Just to go back to what I said, putting a little face on there, like I said on our show yesterday, I would have done a mixed tag match, had AJ and Harley. Had QT and Harley maybe against Brett and AJ, just to get another women's match on the show. Just because I think the crowd understood the assignment, right? Like, yeah, we are diehards, we're sickos, but we also can enjoy something fun and go with a little bit of pop culture. And again, I like the crowd. The crowd they were good with this match. They handled it correctly. They had fun with it. I was really glad as a fan to see that. Again, the crowd, they were just having a good time with it. And it was entertaining. I loved it. It was very fun. Match of the year, no, but again, it is what it was. It is what it was. It was fun.
No, and that's the one thing Taz kind of slammed the AEW diehards that were very critical of this, as well as anybody who is being very critical of it. Is the Costco guy annoying? Probably a little bit, but is he getting some eyes on the product? Maybe not maybe 100% of his social media audience, but it did definitely get some eyes on it. And, Conrad Thompson even made the same comment. It's not supposed to be a banger of a match. It's supposed to help get some eyes on the product if they haven't seen it before and decide for themselves, hey, is this something I can get into it a little more or not? And regardless, it did get some attention. And I give props to Big Boom AJ. He definitely did a really great job despite not being in the ring for quite a while. And, it was really well put, especially being that he was there in his home state there. So,
But also, to echo what you said, I'd also give credit to QT Marshall for making him look good.
I was getting there. QT Marshall has a way of making almost anybody look good. When AEW was here in Salt Lake City not too long ago, our local independent owner here, Manny Lemons, who runs DCW, Devotion Championship Wrestling, QT Marshall put over Manny Lemons. Manny got the win in a dark match, and it was a really awesome match. Manny's carrying 2 different promotion championships right now, and he's killing it based off not only how old he is, but being a really great performer in the independent scene. But let's go ahead and get Stampede's thoughts from that match.
Well, it wasn't match of the night, obviously, but this did exactly what it needed to do. Exactly, right? Like, people have complained for I don't know how long. It's like AEW has to reach out to casuals. That's exactly what this did in the lead up to it, with all the promotion they did for it and the fan base of these guys, right? That's your casuals. That's who they're reaching out to, and it worked, right? They did great promotion for the event. It did great promotion for AEW itself, right? The match was, I mean, for what it was enjoyable. The crowd was really into it, right? So there was no real, it was on a free show. It wasn't on the main card, right? Which is, it was placed right. People are still complaining about this, mind you. I don't know why. Like, I had no issue with it. You know, I actually enjoyed it. It just wasn't a great match. That Rizzler kid, he threw a better spear than fucking Yeet Man. Like even I
You had to
popped
go
for that.
there. You had to go there.
I did have to go there. Yes. He
Uh,
in and threw a spear, man. He did a good job. He deserves props for that. Good for him. So, you know, it was just good stuff. It was enjoyable. It was fun, right? On a free show. So roll with it. Good stuff.
Well, and to Carlos's point, QT Marshall can make anyone look good.
yeah, he sold that thing like a champ.
God
Exactly.
damn. I mean, that was just planned right to the T, perfect.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much more you can expect out of this, but if you're still bitching about this, then here's my simple message: go fuck yourself and go stick with whatever it is you like watching. So,
And especially what you just said, John, if the people there that paid hundreds of dollars are having fun with it, then why can't you just shut the fuck up and enjoy it too?
well, and again, like I said, it was definitely match of the 0 hour, not match of the
yeah.
night, but match of the 0 hour, and it got that crowd popping.
And also, like when we talk about before, like even on our spaces and stuff too, it's about the talent. And what I mean by that is, if you look on social media, the talent was all having fun with them last night. They're all taking pictures with them. Like again, if their talent's having a blast with it, they're glad to see them there. Why can't you be too?
100%. Now, Brian, now that you heard us get on our tangent, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, and I agree with all your comments. My thought is this is QT Marshall doing QT Marshall stuff, and I think at AEW there's a janitor department and there's a lawyer department and then there's a QT Marshall department. And this is the kind of work that he does that adds value. And, like you guys said, if it was on a main card, there'd be a whole different category, right? And it would be like, oh, we paid for this kind of thing, but it's on a free YouTube show. So enjoy. And if you didn't like it, well, you're not out anything. And we put the more advanced matches on the main talent.
All right. Did anybody want to add anything to that or finalize it?
The only thing that I would say was, for me, watching this just kind of felt nostalgic, kind of like the old 80s wrestling.
Well, and that's basically in some of the era he was in too.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily that era, but
Still,
old school
the
wrestling,
style.
old school wrestling mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anybody had a problem with it, what the fuck were you expecting?
Exactly. So, all right. If nobody has anything else, let's go ahead and move on to the main show. This one was the one that baffled me because I figured this would have been in the middle of the show, but they actually put it at the beginning. Way to prove me wrong on yesterday's show. Thanks a lot, Tony Khan. For the World Tag Team Championship 4-way, the champions Private Party retain over Kings of the Black Throne, the Outrunners, and the Acclaimed. Why don't we go ahead and start off with you, William, on your thoughts for this match?
Really, really well played match. There definitely was not time for them to just immediately lose titles. The Acclaimed are doing a great job of selling their little storyline of going back and forth and the possibility of MVP being involved. It's everything about it went exactly how I expected, and everybody performed well.
And to kind of play off your comments, I think the one thing where fans were already chanting "fuck you, Caster," let them turn on Bowens first and then say "fuck you, Caster."
Right.
But I mean, again, he's been being a dick to Bowens lately, but let him actually commit the turn, then say "fuck you, Bowens." But, anyways, why don't we go to you, Stampede?
There's trouble in Acclaim land. This breakup is happening soon. And the crowd has most definitely decided who they're going to be behind and who they're not. Because as you mentioned, there was very loud and audible "fuck Max Caster" chants from that crowd. Right? Bowens they are completely behind. But a very enjoyable match. Everybody got their time to shine. House of Black came out, hot start to it. Brody King, like he's incredibly agile for such a big guy. The stuff that he can do in there, right? And he's quite over with the crowd too. So if Malachi decides to venture elsewhere, I think Brody and Buddy will be just fine, either on their own or as a team, whichever way they decide to go there. Caster will firmly be heading in a heel direction when the split happens. I think that's obvious. Private Party looked good in their first defense. It was a bit on the short side, I thought. I thought it could have went a little bit longer. But this was more of the story of the Acclaimed than anything else, like of their impending breakup. So they told that story quite well and quite clearly, even before the match started, with Max like throwing the Max or the mic over at Bowens, right? Like he had to go get it. So that was well done too. So overall, I gave it a 7 out of 10 though.
Nice. How'd you feel about the DX plug?
You might have to say again because I just unmuted the mic.
Oh, I was just wondering, how do you feel about the DX plug they threw in there?
I missed that actually.
I think I missed that too.
It was on the pre-show, probably.
Oh,
No,
No.
it happened during the match. You remember when Hunter and Shawn Michaels got forced into a face each other match by Vince, and the one just laid down?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
that.
Oh
Yeah.
I thought that was more Scott Hall and Kevin Nash
yeah.
when they.
Yeah, I remember it done somewhere else. I couldn't place exactly where I had seen it before.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was when the Outsiders were defending the championships against Ming and the Barbarian and the Nasty Boys at the time.
Wow, those
And
names.
and I think it was Ming and Brian Knobs that both tagged in both members of the. Wow, what you got going on there?
Yep.
Both members of the Outsiders, and Nick Patrick told them they had to wrestle each other, and Scott Hall or Kevin Nash decided to lay down and have Scott Hall try to pin him, and that didn't work out. But I guess I missed somewhere where they were both the legal men.
And I do
Go ahead,
remember DX doing something similar with the European title.
Yep.
Where they had to transfer it, and basically they were picking and fun and making fun of it. And
Oh, okay, that's right. It was Sergeant Slaughter that brought it up to Shawn Michaels that he hadn't defended that title in over 60 days because he just recently captured the WWE, or back then the WWF championship. So,
Yeah.
Okay, you're right, William.
It's okay. There's so much freaking content throughout, 40 plus years of watching this.
Yeah.
So
It took me a minute. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out which one you're talking about.
I just can't
So,
believe you mentioned the Barbarian. Holy crap.
Well, I'm old as shit too, just like Stampede. But Carlos, we haven't got to you yet. One thing I did want to touch on Stampede mentioning about the timing of the match. I kind of felt like the match was just a little rushed. Maybe if they just slowed it down just a little bit, I think they would have been right there. But I don't know how stressed they were for time either. So, but take it away, Carlos.
So I'm I'm Mr. Acclaim here. I'm liking this breakup. I think it's time. I think again, if you make Bones into a single star, like my only thing for him is I want to make sure he's going to be utilized properly. And Max Caster is a natural heel. But I think people need to realize is that Anthony Bones is from that area. That's his hometown. So of course they're gonna be on his side, and they see how Caster's gonna treat him. They're gonna stick up for their boy. I'm just glad again, these guys, they're AEW originals, they're Tony Khan's creation. They're brought together, but they've done what they could do with their tag team division as far as the tag team goes. As far as the match goes, my only complaint is, again, I would have put it like second to last because, again, this is a match where the faces went over. So it would have just broke up the heel thing of how they ended the show. But again, the right team won. I'm just happy to see, again, this is as a fan, again, Malachi Black looks like he's having a good time out there. I'm happy for him after all the things that's been written about him. Again, they put the people, again, they did the right thing to protect the teams too. And again, this just to me is what I want to see more out of AEW. Again, giving the team like the Outrunners, who the fans are behind, a match on the pay-per-view, utilizing these other teams that haven't been there. Again, this is a matchup that again it just featured the right kind of talent that deserved to be on a pay-per-view sometimes. I'm really happy with this match.
Brian, did you have any more to add to this?
No, the Outrunners are the ones I want to see with the titles, but it doesn't mean it's the right call at this time. So I'm going to sit here and be like, oh, the Outrunners should win. But in reality, I mean, Private Party just got it. And you know me, I like longer title reigns to build the characters up even more. So Private Party got the win. That's the right one.
Yeah, and like I mentioned yesterday in our show, definitely would have been way too early for Private Party to lose this, especially just gaining the championships.
And in their hometown.
Yeah, in their hometown. But, you know, it just wouldn't make sense for me to drop them yet. But again, I've seen wilder things happen too. So why don't we move on to the next match of the night? I think this one was definitely not rocket science to figure out, but MJF defeating Roderick Strong. Thought it was an okay match. Definitely not one of MJF's best, but again, it served its purpose. The only interesting thing was watching the kind of the conflicts going on in the group with Kyle O'Reilly coming in now into play and having some beef with Adam Cole, telling him it's his fault with what happened with Roderick Strong. Carlos, why don't you go ahead and give us your thoughts?
This match shouldn't have been on the pay-per-view. It wasn't needed. It did nothing for me. It wasn't a good match in my opinion. Because for me, I think, and again, there's nothing like I talked about yesterday on the show. There's nothing wrong with giving MJF time off to go make a movie, but then just give him the time off. I feel like he's going to be more into a match too. If he's there every week getting to do the promo battles, like that's going to get him excited for the match. It didn't serve any purpose for me. It didn't deserve to be on the pay-per-view. They should have given someone else that spotlight.
Like Chris Jericho?
No.
Sorry.
Okada. I mean, I know Okada's not a kid, but I'm just saying, again, going back to where there could have been another women's match on there. There's so much other talent that could have been utilized in that TV time to again, I land my plane there. You know what I mean? No, not Jericho.
I was just trying to get you riled up because I know how you feel lately. And by the way, we're still Jericho fans because we're still going on the cruise. Anyways, Stampede.
No, and again, he was off the pay-per-view. Good for him. Again, that was a step in the right direction for Jericho. Good job.
All right, Stampede, go ahead.
So Max started this off with the classic, you know, your town sucks, quick promo to start. He got a few digs in on Roddy. With that, Max is vicious in that ring. Like some of the stuff he does, like that power bomb on the ring apron that he did. Then it was a vicious whip into the corner. Lots of trash talking throughout the match too, right? Like that's old school heel shit, right? That reverse mule kick that he did to Roddy in the corner on the turnbuckle, that was done really well. Really good selling from Roddy, I thought too, with the hand throughout. Like that was a common theme throughout. Max even did a headbutt to his hand, right? Just the little things throughout the match that they did really well in this, right? Even when Roddy had the Texas Cloverleaf on, right? You need your hand to fully cement that move, and he couldn't do it. It wouldn't allow him to get that hold locked in, right? Max still selling the back throughout, so that goes back to previous matches, right? It was a very in-ring storytelling type of match, so I like the way this was laid out. Roddy was fighting from underneath through the whole thing, right? The ending, this is going to branch Adam Cole off into a bit of a separate storyline too, right? So it's keeping him away from Max for a bit. So what with that angle, with what's going on with Kyle? Is he going to get everybody away from Adam, and are they all going to turn against him? So that added a bit of intrigue to it. So I enjoyed it. I gave it a 7.25 for the match, and the right person went over. So.
Will, how did you feel about this match?
kind of torn on it. I liked the match itself. As both Carlos and, David just mentioned. Two takeaways that I got from it. One, covered obviously by Davey, is this does set up the Adam Cole issue. The other thing I noticed about the match was the clean ending, but I'm with Carlos on the fact that I don't think this belonged on the card.
No, this definitely, I would say, should have been kind of more of a weekly programming match.
I think it would have been a good main event for Collision.
Or even Dynamite, you know. To me, I just think we could have had a different match on the card if it was going to go that, or have another match go longer, like that tag team championship match we just mentioned. But Bryan, do you want to give any thoughts?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm a MJF fan. I always like what he's doing. I want the Kingdom versus MJF thing to just be over. And, it's a shame because this was like the big storyline 1 year ago at this time, right? It was all about MJF and the devil and who is it? And it was meant to be so huge. And then it just kind of laid flat. And I will say this, I appreciate that AEW is trying to bring closure, because how many storylines in wrestling history have went unexplained, right? And we just had to forget about it. And I know I personally hate that. So, but I just would like this to be done on Dynamite really quickly. And so we can just move right ahead to whatever they're going to do. So,
But to what you just said, Bryan, that's to me too, like it should have been closure, as in if they're going to do it, it should have just been Adam Cole and MJF this month. Like the fact that it's still going on, I was like, why?
I agree. I wish they would have just knocked this thing out, and then we could have got back to our regular scheduled programming.
Well, with Roddy facing him and then Cole not coming out as quickly as they thought he should have, that furthers that secondary story of the Kingdom and Adam Cole.
Yeah.
So if it was Cole and MJF, then that aspect of that angle doesn't happen, because it can't.
I almost wonder if they're going to build towards a triple threat at World's End just to keep this thing going, or something of that nature. But
could finish it off there. Adam gets his shot at Max, and then have them turn on Adam Cole then.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's where the turn happened last year, right?
Yep.
So turn for turn.
All right, Will, we're to your favorite match now. The TBS Championship. Mercedes Moné retains her championship over Chris Statlander. Let's go ahead and just let you have it. Get it out. Get it out of your system.
Like it's not even built up rage, but okay. But look, I simply do not like Mercedes Moné. I never have. The first time I heard her speak outside of her capacity with WWE is when it just got solidified for me. And ever since she came back after that last injury, I don't feel like her heart's in it. I don't think she's putting any effort into that big old contract she has.
Yeah, and I've been very underwhelmed with her since her signing. The hype was great and everything, but to me, she hasn't delivered.
It's like she's scared of getting injured again, which understandable.
I don't know if she's scared of getting injured, but it's just not gelling well. And as much as some people don't like to hear Eric Bischoff's takes, this is one that I actually have to agree with. It's so far to me, it's been very disappointing. But why don't we go ahead and start with you, Carlos?
I love this match. Again, I thought this match was a move in the right direction. I think think Mercedes, when she goes to the ring, she needs to have the mindset that she's always wrestling somebody who's bigger than her, because I mean, like yesterday, she was doing all the right moves. She was wrestling like a heel. I mean, using the bank statement, using her other finishers, not trying to do those really technical moves. She was just kind of being like a bitch, and I loved it. And I thought the match was good. I think she needed the match to win without any interference. I thought the match was great. Statlander, again, kudos to her for making her look good. And again, I give as much credit to Statlander as I do Mercedes. Statlander made her look like $1 million yesterday. I thought the match was well needed because again, she does have this big contract. She's been shitting the bed a lot with her bad promos and everything else, and it just hasn't come across genuine. She needed this, and again, it was a big win. I cautiously look forward to what she's doing in the future, but I thought the match was great. But again, I would have, for the only women's match, I would have had it higher in the card. But again, heel 1-2, so it doesn't really do any good with that. But I thought, again, just the way she wrestled it correctly. That's how she needs to wrestle as a heel. Just coming across as again the old Sasha, this the bitch who again you hate her because she's good, because she wins. And again, I thought the match was really well done. I was really happy with it.
Unfortunately, Will hates her for other reasons. I do have to kind of agree with Carlos.
Don't call it hate.
Well, it's not hate. You just never liked it. But sorry, wrong terms. But I do have to agree with Carlos. I as far as me saying she's been underwhelming for the most part, she has, and I think a lot of it has to do with some of her promos, but a couple of her matches definitely did not hit well. This one definitely was one of her better ones, I would say.
This is the best one I've seen her do
Yeah.
since being with AEW.
Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and go to you, Stampede?
Mercedes. This match was excellent. Okay. Both ladies showed out in this. Like Statlander was showing off her power early. Mercedes did a very nice Hurricanrana on the apron. Meteora onto the ring steps was nice. She did a nice neckbreaker counter. Another one very well done by Mercedes. A few too many Meteoras. Like scale those back a bit, right? Stat, very powerful throw. Like she threw Mercedes a good halfway across the ring and then the buckle bomb into the corner. That was showing off her strength again. And Mercedes played the heel role really well in the ring. Like her in-ring depiction of that, except for the tantrums. A little bit of overacting. Scale that back a bit, right? That was not really necessary to the extent that she was doing it. But other than that, that's just a couple of the nitpicks on it. But it was very nice, like back and forth action. Nice selling on the knee from Stat, right? She kept that going throughout the whole match. Really hard open hand slap from Mercedes. So like both of these women came out of this match better than they went into it, as far as perception goes. As for Mercedes, her in-ring is not in question, right? This match proved it. The one with Bakura, the one with Willow, the one with Shida, the one with Watanabe, the one she's going to have with Hazuki that's coming up. In-ring is not, Aminata be another one. It's her character, right? Her promos and the way she's presenting herself, it sounds like she has memorized her lines. Like, I don't believe what she's saying. She's not coming across as believable to me, right? So she's kind of like a sports entertainer in a professional wrestling environment. And the crowds they're not biting on it, right? That's happened before, right? And the gentleman that it happened to is overworking in WWE right now, right? So if they can fix that aspect of what they got going on, that'll help. But in-ring's not the problem. It's how she's presenting herself. So that's my take on that. 8.75 I gave it for the match, though. That was excellent. It's my number 8 women's match of the year. So really, really good stuff. Good stuff in the ring.
And I have to compliment you, Stampede. That was very well said as far as how we see Monet's character. Bryan, why don't we go ahead and finish off with you, and then we'll move on to the next match.
All right. So, Will, I think you're going to like what I have to say. Mercedes, I'm going to use something very old school. I said to somebody one time, you can't go acting all Armani when you're seeing the softer side of Sears. Okay. So that's what I feel like her 2024 is. She came in all Armani, CEO, right? And then she's seeing the softer side of Sears. She's not Britt Baker feud. No, fail, right? I'm looking at all this stuff, and she was supposed to be the female needle mover, right? And that has done nothing. Okay. We're paying, not we, they are paying her a lot of money. They're paying her, like a big impact player salary to come in and do this. Now, I'm going to echo you guys in ring work. She's got it. She's still good talent in the ring, right? But she has failed to connect with a pro wrestling fan base, like John said. And that has been a very terrible 2024 campaign. This will probably get clipped at some point and people will be like, oh, Wrestling Fans Insight's a bunch of haters, right? But at the end of the day, we want to see Mercedes.
Her name.
Yeah, I mean, we want to see Mercedes, we all loved her in like NXT Brooklyn and all those great days, right? And even into the WWE days. And I feel like for 2025, if you really want to get the most out of her, I remember MVP handing her a Hurt Business card. It was weeks ago. He handed her one backstage even before Bobby and them were here, and put her in the Hurt Business. Give the microphone to MVP and let him do MVP stuff with the CEO. And I feel like we can get the best work out of her. But right now, I mean, I'm going to take Will's side. I'll be like, she isn't nothing, and she's the softer side of Sears. Wish she could have more money potential.
Yeah, if she did that with MVP, that would work. You'd be like, talk to my representation. And then you let MVP, right? And if she presented herself a little bit more like you see when she does her stuff in Japan, right? In that environment, she's different. She brought a little bit more of that to it, to her AEW presentation. I think that would work too. So they got to tweak some things in that area, but her matches are fine. But it's the character that's off.
Yeah, and to add to your point, and I agree. How many of you guys talk to your CEO? CEOs usually don't talk to people directly, right? Any CEO I've worked for, right? Like you could get a hold of them, but most of the time you had to go through someone, or at least the everyday viewer has to go through someone, right? You don't just walk in there and bang on the door and start walking in, right? So there's at least an admin assistant or somebody. So give her somebody, you don't go straight to the CEO to talk directly to the fans.
And fortunately, I do talk to my CEO every day. So.
Well, I mean, I do too,
Friday,
but we're not in those normal, everyday, big, giant, So.
But no, to touch Brian's point, we're not trying to hate on anyone. We just want to see it be better. And I know damn well Mercedes is able to pull it off. She just needs to find it.
Yep.
And I think once she finds it, she'll be killer. But anyways, enough said on this one. Let's go ahead and move on to what was definitely a really great match with the storytelling, especially the history between these two. Switchblade Jay White gets another victory over Hangman Adam Page. And why don't we start with you on this, Stampede?
I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I could watch these guys wrestle like ad nauseum. Just the way they're able to tell stories in the ring, right? Like Hangman going after the recently injured foot, right? So that's playing into things that happened 3 months ago, right? It was very much a thinking man's style of match, right? Like even Jay sending Hangman into the buckshot lariat position to break the hold, knowing full well his knee wouldn't support the weight to do it, right? It's just just reversals back and forth. What was one he did? Reversal from the ankle lock or into an inverted figure four from Jay. Like it was just so smooth the way they worked together. Vicious dragon screw from Jay on the Hangman, right? Playing into the knee again, right? And Hangman counters into the Deadeye, and then the ending, it was just a counter to a counter to a counter. And it was just done like smooth as silk. Just really, really good in-ring storytelling from both of them. So I was very impressed with this. I gave it an 8.5.
Go ahead, Carlos.
It was a good match. Just for me, I don't understand if they're continuing this feud. Why I should be interested if Jay White is already ahead 2-0. I think Hangman should have won. But other than that, I mean, it was a great match.
Wow, that was very short. Go ahead, Will.
Mine's not going to be a whole lot longer than Carlos's was. Like, look, I like both these entertainers. I've really been into how much Hangman has evolved his character, and the things he does just has me laughing. But like Carlos said, don't know if this really should have been on this card.
I don't know.
It was a good match.
It was a good match, but I think a lot of it is Tony Khan likes to find ways to put more matches on and give wrestling fans their money, but I don't know. I mean, you can only play a story out for so long, and we saw it kind of a little bit toward the end of the main event of the night. We'll get into it when it gets there. Bryan, did you want to throw any final thoughts on this match?
Getting JY to win over a former AEW world champion is never a bad thing, just to keep him sizzling in the background a little bit. So that's my only thought there.
All right. In this next match, I think was definitely, for me, it was match of the night. The student Kyle Fletcher gets the victory over his mentor, Will Ospreay. Carlos, let's start off with your thoughts.
Man, again, I just echo what I said in the beginning. If you're a talented AEW and you think that you're too good to put somebody over, go back and watch this match. I mean, what a match. I mean, it was just like the move off just like, oh my God, like how is he still again? I'm like these matches, these moves would be banned after this match. It was so good. I was so into the match. Like it was well done. I mean, again, like as somebody who was thinking, they should keep Ozzy open together. No, Kyle Fletcher's arrived. He's a superstar. Everything about it, just the king, and then he ended up the crowd. Just again, he just plays an asshole so well. I can see the comparisons to Randy Orton now because it's like yeah, man. Again, well done. Well, the right person won. Kudos to Ospreay for putting him over. Again, the guys just have natural chemistry. I look forward to many more matches in the future. Man, what a match.
The one thing I do have to say about this match is everything that Kyle Fletcher said to us at Salt Lake City on that Dynamite, and as he continued his promos to kind of poke at Will Ospreay, those came into full effect in this match last night. He definitely displayed he was stronger than Will Ospreay. Definitely had Ospreay scouted with all of his moves. And you couldn't deny that Fletcher was definitely the better man in that ring last night. Not saying better performer, but being the victor in that terms of being the better man. Will Ospreay definitely did a great job helping Kyle Fletcher get over. And anybody who says this was forced from Will Ospreay, no, it was not. I think this was a pretty good overall. William, your thoughts?
Definitely. It's not just match of the night for me. It was match of the month. This really went well. I was already a fan of Kyle Fletcher, but this showcased so much more of what he can really do. And I was a little bit surprised that he got the win, but it actually makes sense. And thank you to both those men, especially Will Ospreay.
Go ahead, Stampede.
So these two mesh perfectly in the ring with each other. Now, they've known each other now for quite a while, even though Fletcher is only 25 years old. Let that sink in. Like what you've seen from this gentleman last night, he's 25. That's how good he is. But this is how you build the next crop of guys coming up, right? You put them in the ring with the best, which is what Will Ospreay is, and allow them to show why they belong to be in the ring with the best. That's exactly what happened, right? It like stiff shots back and forth, high impact, and it was at a very quick pace. Like they didn't have to slow down to do anything that they were doing. Right? They nailed everything, right? That tombstone pile driver on the steel steps from Fletcher, right? That got exactly the chance that it deserved, which was you sick fuck, right? And Fletcher winning clean, no screwdriver, no interference, nobody came rushing in. He beat him, right? Definitively beat him in this match, right? That is a huge stamp of approval. It was just amazingly done, start to finish. This isn't finished though. I think we all know that. So what I would like to see, rematch at the Tokyo Dome, either Wrestle Dynasty or Wrestle Kingdom, and then have your rubber match at Grand Slam in February. That's what I would like to see. I don't know if they'll do that, but that's what I would like. Overall, though, I gave this a 9.75. Just incredible stuff all around.
All right, Brian, let's go off with your finishing thoughts here and we'll move on.
AJ Styles, the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, John Cena, Randy Orton, and Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. All great rivalries that just kind of are linked to each other, right? And I feel that is also going to include Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. I feel like these two are just going to be linked to each other for their AEW career. We've seen them as teammates. We've seen them now fighting, and they're young enough to keep this going. And I feel like they're just going to grow together. And everybody always needs a good dance partner. And this loss does nothing to hurt Ospreay. He will be a future world champion. I still believe that. And he's just got a buddy in the car named Kyle Fletcher with him, maybe going in that same direction.
All right. Not a whole lot to get into this because I think every one of us saw this coming. We move on to just a short segment where the champagne celebration gone wrong. Mariah May tries to attack Mina Shirakawa with a empty champagne bottle. And, the result ends up, we see Miss Mina do a spear to Mariah to try to go through a table.
Man, that table kicked the shit out of him.
Yeah, I think we got more of a Pete Rose to the home plate moment there. But Carlos, did you want to throw anything in there?
If you're gonna do this on the show, have it be a match. Have it be a tag team match where they turn against each other just to give more of a match. Because again, I've already been on my hill enough. I'm gonna just move on from this one.
Stampede.
This was odd. Okay, and I'll explain why I find this odd. It did everything that it needed to do, right? It progressed where this is going to be going with Mariah. It's getting her set up in the match with Mina, right? They did that, right? Everybody knew that's been following this, knows that's where this was going, right? But they accomplished what they needed to get done, but the segment, it still fell kind of flat. So it worked, but it didn't. Right? It accomplished the job, but the execution of getting the job done didn't quite hit. So it was like a hit and a miss all rolled into one. So it was just a really odd segment to the way it was done.
Pre-show, especially if Tony Storm's not returning. Why wasn't on the pre-show?
Well, Tony just recently announced she's retiring from the world of professional wrestling.
Of course.
Right. She has not retired from the world of professional wrestling. The likely landing spot for this match with Mina would be World's End. That's the next big pay-per-view for AEW, right? I believe that's on the 30th of December. So less than a week later, there's a little tournament going on Wrestle Dynasty where 4 people from AEW will be fighting each other to get into a 4-way. And the winner of that gets to pick whatever title they want to challenge for. So I think that's where Tony unretires. I think she wins that, and she picks Mariah for Grand Slam. So I think that's where this is going. If that's the case, then it still doesn't make the way this segment was done any better. But like where they're going with it does. That's why I said it was just odd the way it was done.
So would you say this segment was still better than the gobbledygooker?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
yeah,
just checking.
it was better than the gobbledygooker, and it was better than whatever they did when Billy Gunn came out and with MXM. It's better than that, right? It was just a weird segment the way it was played out, and it even showed Mina's kind of vicious side, right? Like doing the roundhouse kick and knocking the champagne bottle out, and then she comes up and blood in the mouth and all that. It's like, okay, I get it, but it just felt off at the same time. So I mean, maybe it's just me, but I have seen those comments online that, as far as the segment itself.
All right, Brian, did you want to finish off, or are you
No,
good?
I'm good on that one. Thank you.
All right, now that we went from the disaster to something really awesome, the TNT Championship, we have a new champion. Daniel Garcia defeats the scapegoat Jack Perry. Then why don't we go to you, Carlos, for your thoughts?
Great match. This is, again, as a fan of AEW, this is what I want to see again. I'm okay. Again, Tony Khan, bring all these guys, bring guys in, bring in their talent, but like do a good job of, again, you have 12 pay-per-views a year. Do more matches like this where we're getting to see two guys, homegrown talents, getting to go off in a match, getting featured, showing up. I mean, the match was really well done. I love just the way Garcia handled it, like being about business, like grabbing the AEW flag and walking off with the title, like just kind of taking back pride. I love this match. I'm happy for Garcia. Again, like we talked about yesterday when we were doing our predictions, it was the right move for Tony Khan too, showing, again, Garcia resigned, rewarded him for being loyal. I just loved everything about this match and the statement that it made. But again, I would have, even though I know, again, I would have put it in between the 3 heel matches a little bit maybe. But again, just really well done. Really happy for both guys. And I'm really happy to see what Danny Garcia is doing. My only complaint is I wouldn't put him in the C2 because, again, you just had him as a champion and now you're going to have him taking losses as a champion. That, to me, was a mistake. Other than that, though, again, kudos.
All right, Stampede, let's go to you.
Very, very happy for Daniel. He's earned this, right? Like with the character development that he's done over the last couple of years, in-ring has never been a problem for him, right? He's always had that. But like Carlos says, like literally the flag bearer for the company that you just re-signed with. Like he was walking up that ramp with that flag draped around him with his new title. Like just really well done. The promos that were leading up to this and the segments that were leading up to it, just everything just tied in really, really well. So very proud. I gave the match a 7.5 out of 10. But the Elite, who once held quite a bit of gold, there's only one now. Matthew, that are currently in that promotion. Matthew and Nicholas, they're taking a little break. They're likely to show up January 5th. Jack just lost his. The only one left is Okada. And he got a big tournament coming up. So changes are happening. So stay tuned.
Well,
and I think changes will continue to happen for Jack that might tie into the end of this show.
Yeah, and I mentioned this yesterday on the show with Carlos. Once you start seeing the dominoes go down, we all know the domino effect. The next one, and the next one, the next one, and fortunately, Okada is the last one standing. But much to like what Stampede said, it's now just a matter of time when Okada loses that Continental Championship, and who knows, it could be whoever wins that tournament ends up dethroning him. And that'll be the interesting piece right there. I would imagine that's the direction they're gonna go, but again, you never know what will happen.
If Okada's getting the feud that everybody wants, that feud does not need a title.
Right.
Well, isn't the tournament for the championship too, or no?
It is, yeah.
So I thought the ruling was whoever the current champion is faces the new winner, but I could be wrong.
No, Okada will have to go into a bracket.
Oh, okay.
You would have to win the bracket to get to the final.
He was the first one announced. He was the first one announced for the thing.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, maybe I misunderstood when they started that. But William, your thoughts?
They're not much different from what was already said. It's a well done match. It went exactly not only how I expected it to, but exactly the way I wanted it to. So it opens up a lot of territory.
Opens up territory for Jack too, because he got some big stuff going on January 5th. That match with Yoda could be for the title over there. If Yoda Sushi beats David Finlay for the global IWGP Global Championship, then Jack Perry's match at Wrestle Dynasty with Yoda Sushi is now for that title. So lots of stuff going on.
And I hope going in the future now they keep this title for the people in the company. Keep it for the up and comers. Like don't put it on Adam Copeland anymore. Even though I love this title reign, like keep this championship to elevate people. Like I want to see these guys have these wrestlers having these titles. Like have a Buddy Matthews win it next. You know, like just having the guys that again just use the belt for what it should be properly used for, and have the proper guys wearing it.
Okay, Brian, do you want to finish off?
Yeah. I'm glad that Jack Perry doesn't have the TNT championship anymore. I was not into his championship reign. I just wasn't. I wasn't into his short bus that he drove around. I wasn't into all this they try to do with him. So I'm just like, yeah, give it to Daniel. See what the kid does, you know, and he might be able to use it as a tool to help further himself and do something fun with it, because week to week, I would see a TNT championship match on the card, and I'm just like, if I catch it, I catch it, you know, and I didn't even care about the open challenge that much. So I'm glad to see maybe we can get a younger talent to, you know, ignite it a little bit.
All right, moving on to the AEW International Championship. Champion Konosuke Takeshita defeating Ricochet. Will, your thoughts?
Definitely well delivered match. Anytime I ever see Takeshita, I'm happy to watch. But Ricochet coming in, he's done really well. His time will come to be holding gold. I think they made the right call. Takeshita needed to retain.
And really, to be honest, I thought this was very well balanced between the two competitors, because
the two different styles.
I don't think anybody really dominated the match, but they both had the equal time and fair share to show their talents in this ring and to tell their stories. And you know, Ricochet's still got a lot of good potential here. I still don't know how WWE fumbled this, but you know, I think we're going to see great things out of Ricochet here very shortly. Takeshita, again, what a hell of a performer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they got the international championship around his waist. Now let's see what he can do to showcase and progress even further here.
As far as WWE fumbling, I think 90% of the ship was already sunk.
Yeah. I don't want to keep dogging on WWE because I think we kind of pounded them enough. But why don't we go to Carlos with his thoughts?
You know, I saw a discourse on, you know, on different things. Oh, this is Ricochet didn't do his maneuvers and didn't do this and do that. A story's being told, I believe, with Ricochet, and that's that he's turning heel. He's gonna. So as a heel, like you don't like you and I talked about this with Brian Cage. As a heel and a babyface, you do different movesets. I think Ricochet he's foreshadowing that again. I'm trying to be turning heel eventually, so I don't give you all the high flying fun stuff that you want. I got to change my moveset. So again, the right person went over. Again, just the whole heel thing. My projections were wrong. But again, you're telling a story, right, where Ricochet is going to go more to the dark side because he wants to get what he wants to get. So you put the right person over and to catch that, move that storyline better. You're foreshadowing more of Ricochet having to go to a darker place to get where he wants to go. I thought the match was really well done. I loved it. It was a great match. And again, getting more of what we need to see is again the homegrown guys going over the guy coming in. I think that was the right move as well. Again, just really well done. Love everything about it.
Batter up, Stampede.
Yeah, good stuff from both gentlemen. Konosuke Takeshita is one of the best wrestlers in the world, period, full stop. right? Like he has it in every aspect. Him retaining here was most definitely the right call. Not so much a homegrown talent. He was doing stuff over in like DDT and that before he got to AEW, but they've continued on with us as far as the presentation. You are correct with Ricochet though, because a few times throughout our show here we've mentioned that you guys have talked about placement. This match should have been here. This match should have been there. What segment immediately followed the ending of this match? Anybody remember?
Oh,
I do not. I do not.
Was it the Hurt Syndicate? Yeah, the Hurt
Yep.
Syndicate. Backstage. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And who handed Ricochet a card?
MVP,
And
yeah.
have been talking. Exactly, right? One's bleeding into the other. So this loss furthers the MVP narrative that he's going to try to push with them. It's like, I can get you where you want to be. All you have to do is take that card, right? So I think that's exactly where that's going. I think you're going to see a heel Ricochet join that group, which was the idea at their former place of employment at one time. So good stuff all around. Ricochet got Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Dynasty. He'll most likely be working more of a heel role there because Zack is most definitely a face in New Japan. And Takeshita moves on to Shingo Takagi at Wrestle Kingdom. That match could break the IWC, by the way. So very much looking forward to that. So just good stuff from both gentlemen. Love the way Ricochet has been presented so far. He's credible. He's getting time to shine. He's working his way into more of a professional wrestling style match. His strikes are getting harder, I've noticed. So it takes a little while to get into that stuff.
All right, Brian, do you want to give final thoughts?
Sure. So on this one, Ricochet debuted in August. So, we're about 90 days in. Honeymoon phase is over. I'm going to be paying most attention to where it goes from here, because now that we've died down the welcome and excitement, and it's going to be very pivotal for what they do with him. I like what Stampede set up with the Hurt business, or Hurt Syndicate, excuse me. I like that angle. I like that idea, because this is kind of a do or die moment for him, and he could either go into the land of nothingness or he could thrive into something. And I think going in with a group would be a safer play for this while they develop a little bit further.
And WWE will send you their bill for saying the Hurt business. So,
oh, Hurt business is out of business. They had a whole clearance and everything.
Nice.
Well, you probably get a cease and desist from using.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Sorry, had to go there.
Fucking fired.
But yeah, now that we're kind of going out of places, Stampede mentioned. The next match, Bobby Lashley gets a victory over Swerve Strickland. Why don't we go ahead and start with you, Stampede?
Very enjoyable match. Good presentation of Bobby. The traditional let's go through the barricade. That's been done 1,000 times, but just impressive so far, like with the way they presented these guys. Swerve takes the loss, but Bobby's not going to lose on his first match out, obviously. And Swerve has built up enough, equity where he can eat a few losses now, right, to further storylines. So Swerve going to need some friends though, if this is going to continue, because he can't do it all on his own. So I would be looking for Swerve to add some friends of his to this storyline going forward. So overall, gave this one a 7.5. Takeshita Ricochet, I gave 8.5 to.
All right, Carlos.
I missed it. Did you guys happen to catch? Because I was looking for it. Which booker they had from WWE come over and book the last 2 matches for them last night? That's like, honestly, that's what this match felt to me. It felt like a very WWE match. I mean, kudos to Swerve for putting Lashley over. I was happy for this match because again, I think Swerve did business, but for me, I was a little disappointed in this match because I didn't see anything new from Lashley that I didn't see in WWE. And so for me, I was just disappointed like that because when we seen other guys come over like a Claudio or a Danielson or, like even like a Swerve, for example, like we got to see them unleashed and kind of got to see them really kind of with their true potential. And I just feel like, oh, Bobby's exactly who he was in WWE. Yay. I was a little disappointed as far as that goes, if I'm being honest.
All right, William.
Well, I mean, it was a good match. It was a for me because honestly, I could have taken it or left it. But no, it was a good match.
All right. I mean, yeah, I really can't disagree. I thought it was really great. Not quite sure if it was more WWE bookish, but I mean, I get where Carlos was going at with it.
Call Cedric.
Yeah, that's the only missing piece, I guess you can say. But yeah, Bryan, did you want to finish off before we go to the main event?
Sure. So, per Carlos's request there for Bobby Lashley to be different, I will refer to him as Robert Lash. So Robert Lash defeating Swerve Strickland. It had to be Robert getting the win, right? So he needed the win. It was his first win. Swerve does, as Stampede mentioned, have some armor built up on him. He's a world champion. And I just think this is going to be just a little bit more of things to come. And I think we were reminded weeks ago that Prince Nana used to be a wrestler, so maybe he could be the equalizer. No, that's not happening.
Oh, God.
His dancing friend is not going to be the guy, but it's entertaining when he said, "Oh, I used to be a wrestler." I'm like, "Really? You did? I thought you were the drunk uncle that somebody owed a favor to." But so there it is.
So when you said the equalizer, you talk about Evad?
Evad, we could do that. Gosh.
So we'll have to call him Anan or not Nana, but
yeah,
Anan.
we'll have to rechange his name up somehow. We'll figure out what that is backwards. I gotta unlock some powers of dyslexia or something.
Yeah, good luck with that. So for the main event, though, the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley retains over freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. It was a very close one, but unfortunately, Jon Moxley was able to squeeze it out thanks to Wheeler Yuta. But why don't we go ahead and get your thoughts there, Carlos?
Overbooked, hot mess. That's for me. This was just too much. I feel like the all the stuff happening after the show just deflated the crowd. I would have much rather seen like a maybe a Moxley promo on Dynamite, and then they play out all the stuff they did after that. It just, to me, and that also too, like, Moxley's a badass. I don't need to see him have to use shenanigans to beat Orange Cassidy. It just, I don't know. It didn't work for me, brother. Again, it's not what I want to see. I know Moxley he doesn't need that to beat him. It was overbooked. And that's what I meant by WWE. It was just overbooked mess for me.
And to your point, Carlos, yeah, the ending was a bit overbooked because here I'm thinking, okay, we're trying to get everybody who is with AEW united, and it's like they all divided again. Right?
Yeah, not even for me.
I'm
Like,
just trying to figure out what the fuck are we trying to tell here?
And to me, like, to your point, like, that's something I was like, for me, like, why weren't the trios championships on the line on the show? Because again, you guys are all trying to get these guys. Where was Team AEW for trying to get the titles off those guys too? Just another, like, when you mentioned that brought that up to my mind too. It's like, okay, so that's over now.
Yeah, we already know my thoughts on any type of trios or 6-man tag.
Yeah.
Thanks for Eric Bischoff for confirming my question on that a few months ago on his podcast. But William, your thoughts?
They aren't much different from Carlos's. This was just stupid. Honestly, it was just kind of a waste of the whole match with that ending.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was not a fan of this match. It's
all right, Stampede, let's get your essay.
So John's goal in this match was to beat the living shit out of Orange Cassidy. So he accomplished that. He beat him from pillow to post, right? Right person went over. Like Orange, for as beloved as Orange is, he was not going to be taking the title off of Moxley. Right? Yuta showed his loyalty to the group, right, by coming in doing what he did, especially pouring I'm assuming that was probably some sort of alcohol over the open wounds. The ending tied in a lot of things. So Christian has the contract, right, that he thought of cashing in, but he didn't sign it. You could see Christian mouth the words to Hangman when he was holding the contract in his hand of, "I'll give you first shot." Right? And then finally he handed it over to him. Now insert Jay White. Jay White has issues with both of these gentlemen, right? He just beat Hangman, and he has unfinished business with Christian, right? So I could see a three-way being set up between those three for that contract, right? Especially after Hangman laying out Christopher Daniels earlier, right? Something's brewing there. Jay White made it a point to mention Pac. They zeroed in on him with the Campbell because Pac attacked him. So don't be surprised if the Bang Bang gang of Juice, Colton, and Austin go after those trios titles. I can see Jay getting that contract. If that's the case, Jay owes John Moxley a receipt from the C1 last year. Moxley pinned him to go to the finals. A lot going on, right? But it does all tie in together if you kind of follow it. And then Darby T-boning the car that he was driving. Darby was driving that because he's nuts, right? Also throws him into the mix. So where's Darby? They're all uniting to the one goal in mind, right? Moxley. They're all Moxley, right? Somebody was driving the car that they pulled away into. So who was that? Everybody's saying Shane. Oh, gotta be Shane. I don't think it was Shane. I think it was
Oh my God, no, please, God.
Yeah. Oh, the people are saying that. Well, they're so hot and horny to get Shane here that they're just
Jesus Christ.
Right? Like, okay, now he's an Uber driver. Right? Like,
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me.
but if it's anybody that's on the AEW payroll that was driving them away, I'm thinking Jack. Because if you think back, Daniel Garcia put a good licking into his little van, right? So he needs something else to drive. And he just dropped the title. So he has no real ties left to the elite right now. Just things to think about. For the match, I gave it an 8.25.
I almost kind of feel like you gave that very
Generous.
Because I mean, because he sees the storylines going on with it, but for me, it was still a hot mess. It didn't belong on the end of a pay-per-view.
Well, I looked at Moxley too. It's like, okay, like if I was Moxley, given his character and like for the story that he's running right now, what would be my objective going into this match? Am I going to wrestle a Zack Sabre Jr. style match? No. Am I going to wrestle a Will Ospreay style match? No. Am I going to beat the living piss out of him? I'm probably going to pick that one. That's exactly what he did.
And in support of the match, Will is also drinking a blood orange brisk iced tea.
I thought it'd be funny. I thought about it when I stopped at the convenience store. It's like, this is perfect.
Good time to throw in a sponsorship request now. Huh?
I tried to cover up the label when I was, just.
But Brian, let's go ahead and get your final thoughts on this match.
Yeah. I think based on the Shane McMahon stuff, I'm going to just start randomly inserting Shane McMahon theories. So here's one. The briefcase that Marina Shafir is holding around has Shane McMahon's guaranteed contract in it. No, I'm just going to start.
He has to sign it first. No one signed it yet. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why she has to carry it because she hasn't delivered it to him yet. But John Moxley. What's that?
Shane to the learning tree.
Shane to the learning tree. There's a fun one, right? We just have fun with this, right? ultimately, John Moxley gets another title defense or a title defense under his belt in this run. And, nobody had Orange Cassidy really doing much of anything, but man, they just love him. The fans like him, and AEW locker room seems to love him. And Tony Khan, I think, just appreciates the loyalty. And they're just like, yeah, let's just throw him a main event once in a while. It's usually bathed in champagne and orange juice with Chris Jericho, and now this. So.
All right.
Ooh,
Well-
one thing we didn't cover
Uh-oh.
earlier on in the show, the bracket for Ring of Honor was announced for that 4-way women's match that's going on in Wrestle Dynasty. The participants are Billy Starks, Red Velvet, Layla Hirsch, and Athena. Will be in the 4-way. Yeah. So that's your 4 from Ring of Honor. So they'll fight it out, and the winner of that goes on to the 4-way. CML is announced too. I can't remember them by the top of my head, so we're just waiting on AEW's 4 and Stardom's 4.
All right. Sorry. Making
I have a
sure.
quick question for you guys, real quick. Did they mention Dave LaGreca at all in the pay-per-view or pre-show?
I don't recall them mentioning.
I don't think so.
But
That's
I did.
that's
I did
crazy.
see
That
him
was
in the front
crazy
row.
that they didn't mention him. I'm like, wow, you're really bitter, Tony Khan.
I don't think it's that, but Dave was definitely front and center there in the show. I mean, it was pretty obvious. So, but yeah. Anyways, why don't we go ahead and get into our quick final thoughts and shout outs here as we're getting ready to wrap it up. We'll start with you, Brian.
Just thank you guys each and every week. And, it's always fun to come on here and talk pro wrestling. So just a quick thank you. And Thanksgiving season's coming right around the corner.
Carlos, I know, are you looking to do some X Spaces this week?
Yeah, we'll be back on Monday and Wednesday this week. Back to our regular scheduled times. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think, I look forward to seeing what's coming up next with this pay-per-view. Again, a lot of heels went over, so now it's time to see some good guys win.
And just to kind of top it off, I'm also probably going to go live here with Survivor Series predictions here this Friday, as it's going to be a short day at the office for me. So keep tuned to my Twitter account.
For that 5-minute space for 3 matches.
Well, it's not going to be space. It's going to be a live. Sorry.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I might be able to show up for that.
Oh, wow. For those of you who haven't followed us on X yet, go check us out there. You can follow John over at wfincitepod, William
At William Hoppe 8.
and Carlos.
At C to the LOS 77 and at Conquer the No.
And Brian.
At the Bryan Adkins on X, and then also the same for TikTok now.
Oh, boy. He's getting
I-
big.
I've crossed the line. I was
Oh
like,
my
all right,
God.
I'm giving in.
Lock.
After how many years?
Damn Chinese government's coming for you now.
I'm still learning.
Add Stampede. Oh, we killed him.
You might have really killed him.
Yeah, we might have. If you're on X, follow Stampede at David.
There he went.
There he goes. At David Rober, ROBER 7174. Carlos, I can't remember. Did you have any final thoughts and shout outs for this week?
I'm good. I gave the shout outs yesterday. I'm fine. We've been going for about 90 minutes. So let's get
Yeah. Yeah. And my shout outs pretty much are the same for those that tuned in last week. Also, be sure to go check out one of our hopefully new sponsors here, SportCoin. You can check them out at sportcoin.network on the webpage. And that's going to wrap it up for us this week. And now Stampede's back. Stampede, before we leave, do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say I'm over on Blue Sky.
And he went back to Blue Sky.
Yeah. See what happens. This is
I'm
why
on there.
you don't
I'm on there as well. If anyone wants to follow me, same username.
I tried it. I didn't like it. I just said screw it. But anyways, because Stampede's not going to be able to stick around the way it's looking, we're going to call it good. Again, join Carlos Monday and Wednesday this week, and I will be live again this Friday. This Friday. Sorry, apparently there's some issues there.
Did he come
I
back
will-
again? I'm like, is he coming back
He
again?
did. He stuck back in for a sec.
I give up.
Say his name 3 times and he'll appear.
Oh my
Stamp-
gosh.
Stampede, Stampede, Stampede.
He's got some connection
Yeah.
ED going on here.
Time for a Blue Chew commercial. Conrad, help a guy out. Anyways, that's it. Happy Thanksgiving. If we don't talk to you or get another episode out there, please be safe. Happy holidays, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Awesome job, guys.